Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to BFA's On The Ball show. Right, we've talked about CFL, we've talked about the First Division, the Premiership, and as we know, well done to FC Bengals, and we still have a small matter of the First Division to conclude, which will maybe happen next week depending on the results. So good luck to Poplar, good luck to FC did I say Poplar? Aberfeldy, and good luck to Brick Lane. Right, moving on, we want to do something a bit different. We've got a couple of new guests on. Some of you may know them, some of you may not, but that's the idea, to get their faces out there and share with everybody in the community the good work that they're doing in their respected trades. With us now to talk about, I guess, grassroots football and maybe Asians in football and the development of our kids and football in general. To my left I have special guests, I guess, Dev Trehan, who is a journalist and sports writer. Welcome, Dev.
Thanks very much, Admiral.
You're good?
Yeah, very well indeed.
Brilliant.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. And also we have Sufian Miah. Now this is a brilliant story, and when I heard it, it was a no-brainer for me to invite him on the show and share his story and his, I guess, philosophy on football and reasons as to why he's done what he has. Sufian Miah is a parent, like many of us, but he's gone to the next level in terms of his love for the game and his passion to give his child what he wants. We talk about parental commitment, we talk about parental dedication. Let's hear from Sufian exactly what he's done, and this, I think we're not just talking Asian parents, we're talking parents in general, because there's not many parents in the world that would be doing what he's decided to do. Sufian, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, General.
Pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
I guess I'm going to come straight to you, because tell us a bit about what exactly that you've done that's so different. You have a child, he's 13 years old, Zidan, Miah. Please share with us what the journey that you've had.
It's been an amazing and phenomenal journey. Zidan started playing football at the age of 7 and at the David Beckham Academy, and from there he progressed into local teams and tried out in a few academies around the country. Elite Soccer, one of them, Pro Touch being another one, and then tried out different clubs. And during his journey, he ended up at Arsenal Development Centre for 2 years. And while we were there was a couple of people who followed Zidan's journey, who actually told me about, looking at abroad. So we researched into it, looked at Spain, looked at Denmark, looked at even Far East. We looked at Thailand, we looked at Hong Kong, and one of the countries that kept coming up was America. And two of his coaches, Keith Bonus, who is now the national women's team manager for Estonia, and Taf Roman, who is a UEFA Licence A coach, suggested looking to America. And ironically, while Taf was at Arsenal and Zidan was at Arsenal as well, Michael Johnson came to Arsenal and had a seminar about his academy or performance centre based in America, and said, look, you've got to look at your body mechanics and as an athlete, and he virtually guarantees any pros or any elite level sports people that if they go into academy there, attended one of the intensive courses or training courses, they will improve them. So Taf told me about it, and me being myself, I looked it up, googled it, and I thought, you know what, we're gonna go out there. And I took Zidan out there for first of all 2 weeks.
And how old was he then?
And he was just 11.
Okay.
And after 3 days, we took him to the Michael Johnson Performance Centre in Geneva, Ohio, based at the Spire Institute. And Spire Institute is one of the 10 Olympic and Paralympic training institutes for America. And within like 3 days, they offered him a scholarship.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, it's very flattering. I was never ever going to send an 11-year-old to America by himself.
Well, let's hold that thought, because I think it's the beginning of the story. I just want to. You very kindly brought in a clip that we're able to share with the viewers that are watching today, and it'll give you a bit of a flavour as to just the amount of work that has gone in and the amount of work and dedication that Zidan is putting in over there in the States. So let's watch the highlights, and we'll come back and take up on where we finish. So enjoy the highlights, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
mystical Zidan. Effortless brilliance.
Started out and he had some deficits and some obstacles. The way he overcomes these things and it doesn't get down, he fights through and he's persevering through some of these issues that he's had. That's going to help him not just in sport but also in life.
Okay, welcome back. Well, you've seen it. Some of that, I guess, some of that clip was very, very powerful. I think the music always helps, and the American accent, as we were just saying off air, it makes all the difference. I love it. But coming back to you, Sufian, obviously the reason you've done it, we've just seen why and hopefully the difference. Are you happy with the progress and where he's at right now? Because just tell us where you were, and you've recently moved to Dallas, haven't you now?
That's right, we moved from Geneva and gone to Dallas, Texas. It's been only coming up to 6 months. But the whole journey itself, Zidan and my younger daughter and my wife has gone out to America. It's been 1.5 years now.
So half your family is in America. And you and your daughter are here?
The eldest daughter is here.
Yeah.
And what we do every 6 weeks, we travel back to go and see them and see how they are and their progress. And it's a big sacrifice. It's a massive sacrifice. But what we have to accept is that the rewards are greater. You have to accept the work ethics, the training ethics, the whole mindset and the philosophy out there in the American training regime they have is phenomenal. And where Zidan was a year and a half to where he is now, a year and a half ago to where he is now, he's had a growth of 3 years somewhere in a year and a half, physically, mentally and emotionally. And you can see it. It's very powerful. It's very, his speed, his agility, his strength. He's become more confident, a bit arrogant on the pitch now. Scored some amazing goals for FC Dallas, crucial goals recently in the semi-final of the cup. Scored on the last kick of the game on a free kick. But would he had that growth if he stayed in England? I can categorically tell you as a parent, absolutely not.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that in a bit more detail, I think. But Dev, coming to you now. Obviously, we've met recently, and in terms of your background, you're a sports writer. Tell us a bit about how you got into it, and where, and the journey that obviously Sufian and Sufian's family have had, and how that kind of fits in, and what you think of it, and what your perceptions are of that.
Well, I think my journey, first of all, is rather unconventional. It's not the typical journey I think a sports writer would have. I graduated many moons ago. I went into a different industry. I went into the travel industry, the hotel business. But there was something that was still eating away at me. Something that I just felt was completely unfulfilled in my life. And I'd always wanted to be a radio commentator since I was very young. And I was always told to be quiet when I was growing up, because I'd always give my own version of commentary over football matches and tennis matches and things like that. But eventually I sort of got to the stage in my life where I was just always asking myself why, what if, what might have been. And so I retrained. I did a postgraduate course, an MA in sports journalism, and that was only in the last 2 or 3 years, and I've been a journalist since then. So
what kind of, in terms of just people out there, the kind of people you've been working for and with, Sky, I'm assuming is
yeah,
one,
absolutely.
One of
So I'm a freelance sports journalist.
Yeah.
A lot of my work is for Sky Sports. I also do some stuff for Asians UK magazine, a lot of regional newspapers as well. I live in Finchley, so the Finchley Press is a newspaper that I write for, the Harrow Observer, etc. So I mean, it's been a fantastic journey. I'm still very much on that journey, and I've had some great opportunities along the way. But I think my advice to anybody who aspires to go into sports journalism is just to never give up and to give it 101%. I always tell people, it's not my job, it's what I do, and I live that life every single day, 7 days a week. I work 100 hours a week plus each and every week without fail.
Blimey.
Right.
Blimey. Well, we talk about commitment, and I know obviously you've heard the story where Sufian's you've known Sufian for nearly 2 years now. So so in terms of Asians in football, this is a whole new level, isn't it? In terms of commitment. And have you heard anything like this? Forget about it. Like I said, not just Asians football, but just parents in general to do something like this for their child. It's very rarely done.
I have never come across anyone who has been prepared to see their family effectively split in half. So Sufian lives with one of his daughters here in England, while his wife and Zidan and his youngest daughter are all living in America. And to think that he's prepared to do everything he possibly can to give his son the best chance of making it as a professional. Yeah. I mean, I'm completely in awe of what he's done and what he's doing and what he continues to do. Yeah, well, we've still got Shaquille with us. Shaquille, from your perspective, obviously, with being a young man is passionate about his football, but now has moved on, you're married and blah, 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 and so the next step is hopefully a family, inshallah, and all being well. But when you hear stories like this, and have you ever heard of anything like this?
I mean, this is a unique story. I mean, we call him Sufian now, but in the future, hopefully, we'll just be calling him Zidan's dad. I mean, hopefully he makes it, and yeah, I mean, it's a unique situation, isn't it? You don't get many parents that dedicated to developing their child's career. I mean, with myself personally, I was one of the lucky few in the older generation where my dad did actually help me, like train for football and stuff like that. And I was at Arsenal Academy, or not Academy, but I mean I trained at Highbury for a couple of years. I mean, he took the initiative to take me there, and with the future generation coming up, I mean with yourself and Mbai, and you can see a lot of the parents they're getting into helping out their kids and that, and it's good to see Sufian taking his son all the way to America. Just to develop as a player.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we've got our first call of the evening. Let's just see who it is. I think it might be someone by the name of Shuel. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to BFA's On The Ball. What would you like to say? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, assalamu alaikum, welcome to BFA's On The Ball show. You're live in the studio. What would you like to say?
My name is Masoud. I'm calling from Chizalas. I just want to know from Brother Sufian.
Yep.
His son been trained in England and he's training in America at the moment. So the people in England are trying to make their son as a footballer. What's the big difference between achieving his goal in America and achieving, like, the difference between, like, training-wise or, like, one-to-one assessment what's the advantage he's getting in America and
Fair
why
point.
he's not getting in England?
Yeah, good question. No, I was going to come on to ask him that. So you've preempted me. So very good question. So yeah, Sufian, question is to you. Why America and not the UK? I know you've already touched on it, but
you have to actually see it and experience it for yourself. The whole training philosophy. They actually one of the thoughts they have as a footballer, before you even got a football at your feet, is your body mechanics correct? Is your diet correct? As an athlete, are you strong enough? Is your speed correct? And this is one of the growth area that we've looked at Zidan. Zidan, if you watch Zidan play, is very technically gifted, but the other attributes that you need as a footballer, speed, agility, strength, the mental conditioning, those all come in as a package, and we've got that in America, which we didn't get here. Technically, give him a ball and tell him to hit a crossbar and he'll do it 8 times out of 10. But is he faster, or is he quick enough as the other players? And us as Bengalis, we haven't got the genetics from our ancestors, all those kind of attributes. So we're not privileged enough in that sense, and this is the area that we concentrate on. And if you look at, just looking at the photos of Zidan a year and a half ago, to comparison to what he is now, as I said, Imro, at the beginning, Zidane's all of a sudden in a year and a half has had a growth of 3 years.
Wow.
And that's physically, mentally, and emotionally, and he's become a matured young man at the age of 13, and it's actually made him more determined and more focused, and say, look, I want this. I really want this. And to have a son who's so determined and who's very passionate about his dream, you only can admire and not just be proud, and just support all the way through. And as I said, the sacrifice is great, but if you look at the benefits and the rewards that Zidan is getting, it's far greater than the sacrifices.
Okay, well, I think that's that question. Dev, we've got another call apparently. Okay, so, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to BFA's On The Ball show. Who do we have on the line? Hello?
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, hi, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Regarding this situation with Brother Sufian,
Okay, he's gone, so I can apologise for that. It's a live show, we do get some...
No, that's right.
Anyway, yeah, Dev, in terms of what you've just heard there, but the question is still standing in my perspective, in terms of if you've got a parent who doesn't have the financial clout, because it's not cheap, Sufian, is it?
Absolutely.
No, it's not cheap. So to take a child out to America costs money. We must be missing a trick, because he's just said in the space of a year and a half, his son has developed 3 years. Yeah, in terms of his age and mental capacity, his body. We must be missing something in the UK here as a sports body. Is there something you must have more of an insight as to what not just the FA, but in terms of Sports Foundation, maybe what are they doing to kind of bridge that gap if they can?
Absolutely. I mean, for me and from my experience and from everything that I've seen, there's a completely different focus and emphasis on athletics and sport in general in America. They're very athletic friendly, and that stems right from the collegiate system and before that, all the way through. I mean, I think that's the key difference that we have in this country, that very few athletes have scholarships as such at university with fantastic facilities, and you saw some of the facilities there at the Michael Johnson Performance Center in Dallas, and they're mind-blowing to think that a 13-year-old has got access to that kind of level of training. The sports psychology aspect's a huge one as well. And I just feel that the American approach is a very different one. They're very focused on the athlete first and foremost, rather than the technical side of things and the technical aspect, which I feel like they focus on in this country somewhat, but they certainly on the continent focus on that a lot more. Particularly with things like futsal, if you're talking about football and things like that. So definitely there's a lot more that can be done here, certainly by way of facilities.
Well, in terms of facilities, we're talking about Michael Johnson. This is probably one of his developments, and it's probably one of the elite ones in the world, isn't it? I think there's probably nothing like it. But in the UK, obviously, from my perspective, in terms of research that I've done, we've got Loughborough University, which is one of the most renowned sports facilities in the UK, and most of our great athletes come through there at some stage, or have to go there, visited and been through it. Is it a case that we might need possibly more centres like Loughborough popped up around other parts of the UK?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. I mean, Loughborough is a standout example of a place where many of this country's top athletes train at. Brunel's also a good example. St Mary's University College in Twickenham. They've also got some really, really good facilities there as well. Certainly, I do think centres of excellence are few and far in between in this country.
Okay.
There could be more. There is a lot of good work being done by the Football Foundation in that respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely a shortage of facilities and also the access to those facilities as well, because it's one thing creating an all singing, all dancing
that was my next
technical centre, but if you've got to pay X, Y and Z for it, well then you're going to lose the talent there as well.
Okay. Shaquille, you mentioned you've been through the system in terms of Arsenal at the Highbury Centre. In your experience, obviously the gentleman who just called in asked the question, why has he gone to America and why hasn't he stayed here in the UK? How have you found, what's been your experiences of the facilities and the opportunities in terms of, not just from a football perspective, but we're talking about the other aspects that come along with growth and development as a child in terms of the holistic approach to football?
I mean, in terms of like Zidane's development, he's focusing. I mean, I'm sure his diet and everything is. I mean, watch specifically what he's eating, how he's exercising, everything. Everything is, everything is monitored, and I think growing up, I mean, our diet wasn't great, was it?
No.
I mean, recently everyone's becoming more aware of what they should be eating and how they should be training and to develop and physically and everything. But I mean, for a few of us, it's that opportunity has long gone now. And with the new, obviously we've got with Sporting Bengal kids and that, if we develop that nutrition side of it, how to develop physically. How to improve all of that, hopefully the future is going to look a lot brighter.
Okay. Go on, sorry.
Yeah, the thing is, you talk about diet, Shaquille. If you look at Zidane's regime, the philosophy there, they look at two key components. One, the sports individual, and they look at the sports specific. And when you break down the sports individual, I mean, Zidane's only 13. He's got a one-to-one sports psychologist on him. He's got a sleep therapist on him. They monitor his sleep. They got a sports dietitian on him. They got a sports mentor on him, sports psychologist on him. They got an education officer. So the dream's massive, and you're chasing a dream, and you want to become this professional footballer, and you want to replicate that name Zidan. My name's Zidan. I want to be the next Zidan. But amongst the whole big dream, there's a big thing in a young person's life is education. And they concentrate that on that as well, because the education level must be just as equal. So if they see you deteriorate in any way, the education has gone down and the marks that you should be getting, you're not getting because you're overplayed or overtrained, they just tone it down. And they put that life and that balance in a youngster's life. And you think, wow, you know what? And Zidane's very lucky in terms of to get the scholarship at Michael Johnson Performance. But we went out there to pursue and see what's out there, and not sit back and say, well, maybe somebody will come along, maybe he would do this, and maybe he would do that. We was advised, we was told, and we went out looking for it. And now I can honestly, as a parent, be comfortable enough and turn around and say, Zidane's in the right place for his development. From his teenagehood into manhood. America's the place, I would say. And we have travelled to quite a few countries to see that.
Right, brilliant. Okay, on that note, we're going to leave it there for this segment. We're out of time, and like I say, it flies. You were asking before how long have we got. We literally will run out of time very shortly, as you see. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching the second segment. When we come back, we want to talk a bit more about grassroots football. Talk to Dev about recent coverage in the news around, we touched on it earlier, pro footballers and young kids being released at a young age. It might be something that we're interesting to debate and get Dev's take on it. And so tune in, and hopefully we'll see you in 3 minutes' time to talk about grassroots and Asians in football.